with the pizza bracket now over, we've returned. I don't know if you guys heard the live draw show, but we had Will up against Jordan and Sophie up against Willow. A real star-studded top 8 in the Canberra Highlander scene. And this match is more notable than others because this is a rematch of the recent Canberra final. And even though there was a split at that event, Will came out the winner. And they're both playing very similar decks, so it'll be interesting to see how this goes today. With Will having a bit of a creature-like light hand revealed to the Gataxian probe, but it also shows that he's playing the recently unpointed Umezawa's Jitte. Will is being a saint for the broadcast team by playing with his hand open. Blessings to Will. So as Angus keeps adjusting the camera, trying to get us in the perfect position, Jordan's resolving his cantrip, and we'll see where it takes him.
Oh, wow.
We're just waiting for some people to close the door so I can comment about these hands. It's interesting here to see how Jordan goes in this matchup, especially this one that he's like notably lost before in that final.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Talking about the previous Canberra where this was the finals, and we watched it, and we have it live on youtube.com/CBR MTG, so feel free to check it out.
Yeah, so Godly Devil is asking about the matchups before. So Jordan beat Lands in the hands of Peter Foreman. Will beat Lands in the hands of Ryan De Lima. Then Willow on White-Red beat Chris on Bots. And on camera, Sophie played Prowess to beat Lewis's Eclipse. Yep. So, yeah, this is a proxy Scrubland and Chifley, and it's not the most beautiful proxy, but hey, we live and we learn. Will usually shows up to tournaments with these drawn proxies, and they're all these like pieces of modern art. So not up to his usual game, but we will let him be as he casts the recently appointed Jitte.
Yeah, it's interesting to see more Jittes in the format. It's like, God, it wasn't even that long ago where Stoneforge was a point, and then it was like, it feels ungodly right now to like have Stoneforge Mystic as a point in this day and age. And that's possibly the reason why, obviously, it got depointed. But even to see Umezawa's Jitte go down to 0 after being at 1 for a really, really long time. Steel Shaper's Gift as well. Yeah, great call out, Chifley. Steel Shaper's Gift also a point at one point. So it's like people really scared of those Stoneforge packages, but not so much anymore. And I think that's kind of good, you know?
Exactly. It's really interesting to show how the design of Magic has affected what's good in the format and what has to carry the burden of a point. Because these days, like Umezawa's Jitte, a lot of decks that could play it are just deciding not to run it. Like I was running it on the Jarden sideboard for a bit and I just got punished too often. And I'm like, I don't need this.
Yeah.
Now here we go. 5 points of Magic coming out in one card. It's the legendary Time Walk. Yep. The card that makes Jordan's deck tick, and he gets an extra turn. Let's see if he uses this turn for more than just explore.
It's funny when you talk about these big 5-point cards and like the comparison to we can see the comparison between Time Walk and Ancestral Recall kind of float away at this point, because Time Walk, its base level, as you said, is just an explore. It's just add an extra land drop, draw a card. But A-Call in probably all periods of the game is always draw 3 cards, you know. So even with such a powerful 5-point card, Jordan's pretty happy to put it in the graveyard. And I think with cards like Timeless Witness, Eternal Witness, like it being in the graveyard is really not the end of the game at all.
Oh, most definitely not. And even though I was joking about the nature of that card as an explore, I think having it in the graveyard gives you this like scary vibe for your opponent that at any point a bunch of the cards in Jordan's deck can just mean extra turn, go again, cause carnage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good. Obviously, if you have a more defined board, but hey, a ramp spell is still good, you know, and Jordan wants to cast Omnath with mana up to make a land drop, you know, or like, he wants to play Atraxa maybe in the future. Like he has the possibility to with these extra land drops. We'll see Season Dungeoneer coming out of Will's side, and we're about to enter the Undercity.
Yeah, call Chifley. We're coming to see you. So, Seasoned Engineer, obviously a really powerful card. It'll be interesting to see if Jordan has a bunch of answers. Now, for this, Jordan was kind of tuning his deck in preparation for the tournament, and he highlighted one of the cards that he wanted to move to the main deck from not even the sideboard, is something like Path to Exile, because he predicted that a lot of the players in this tournament would be playing these kind of creature-based strategies where having that additional catch-all white removal spell. And even though both those players were knocked out, Path to Exile is great against the lands players that were kind of littered through the room. So it'll be interesting to see if with that additional cheap white removal spell, if Jordan can find an answer before the Seasoned Dungeoneer sends Will to the victory room.
Yeah, and Will came in, talked a bunch of smack about the Undercity, and then left, refused to elaborate, and now is about to win the game with it. I mean, it's probably too early to say whether or not this Seasoned Dungeoneer is going to go all the way, but God, it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong.
And like it's definitely interesting here how Jordan seems to be to some degree flooded out. I'm not sure how many cards in hand Jordan has, but he's not really been doing much for the last couple of turns. So interesting to see what he's doing here. Now the door is open, so I'll just make sure not to be too loud. But watching out here as the kind of board state stalls for a bit and the camera's getting readjusted here in the Canberra Arena. Chifley commenting, Walks is a deck that's often well positioned versus initiative. And that's definitely a comment that has been shared between Jordan and I talking about that particular matchup. Looking at this card, was that a Path to Exile that I was...
might have been, and that's exactly what you were talking about, coming to fruition now, Path to Exile. Sending the the Seasoned Dungeoneer to the Exile Zone. Second time that Seasoned Dungeoneer has gotten Will a basic.
Very true. Maybe the Seasoned Dungeoneer is the second Explore that Bertoncini fabled they used. But I think it's interesting here because Path to Exile is a card that's kind of moved away from the format in a lot of ways, not really commonly played. But if you know that this is the kind of room you're in, you get to play these subpar cards that are above par in the new expected metagame.
Yes, exactly. I think just the value of like conditionless removal. Like I saw a bunch of Terminates at one of our recent big events as well. It's just like Terminate just as an instant speed catch-all kill spell is like maybe it's back on the menu, you know?
And I was playing even though who am I, but I was playing Dreadbore at the most recent Worlds tournament. So there's lots of we're in this new era where these catch-all removal spells are becoming more important due to the resizing and the nature of the threats that we're playing against.
Yeah, and I think you've done your fair bit of top 8 placing yourself. So I don't know if being humble will bode too well in this competitive meta. But yes, it's good to see that those even sorcery speed 2 mana can still get the job done.
Yeah, exactly. So here we've still got this staring contest, but as a lot of players know, the player who wins the staring competition is often the one that is the mayor of the Undercity. And we're chugging down along that left-hand side of the dungeon track, moving slowly towards the Throne of the Dead.
I'd love to get some info from fellow initiative enjoyer Chifley in the chat. We've seen a lot in the past of just straight left track always. You know, you always want to get to the forge, you always want to go to the trap, but I was playing against the Domain Initiative deck a fair bit, and maybe it was just this player, but I was seeing a lot of right turns into that scry. It's interesting, maybe just trying to set up your next few plays.
I would agree. I think I just want to highlight something that the chat are talking about, where Jordan has the Omnath in hand, and he's been holding the Omnath for a while, knowing that the Skyclave Apparition is an option here from Will. So Will has a little bit of his hand revealed that we know he's got things like the Ephemerate and the Skyclave, and he's looking to try and see how much value he can eke out from the Omnath. Jordan is also here playing his star card, the card he loves. This is the Kaya's Guile, which I give Jordan so much crap for playing this card, but it's done a good job here. It's kind of been impactful to start here. He's got his flyer out. What do you think about this card, Kaya's Guile?
I I used to play it in Mardu mid-range when before, when you're playing Palace Jailers and Demonic Tutors and stuff, but I loved it. It was so versatile. I tested it a little bit in a recent deck that I've been playing in the main board, just as like something that is flexible. Like you have a removal spell on it, you have a flying blocker, which is super relevant, and then also the random gain for life or exile a graveyard. Like even if you're only ever choosing 2 of those modes and you're not entwining it, by the way, you can not entwine it, but choose all the modes for an extra 3 mana. Like 6 mana is a bit expensive to do all that stuff, but again, instant speed, it's like pretty appropriate. I think it's pretty possible.
Right. So what's happening here with the Ephemerate, Angus?
We're seeing Will doing exactly what I was hoping might not happen, but he was like, "Hey, do you mind if I play like instead of proxying up a regular card, I just put art from a different card on this." So this is not an Ephemerate. This is God. I'm gonna have to point out, and then I'll give him a little tease because I was like, "Oh, as long as we can know what card it is in coverage, that's fine. Even if it has the wrong art." Oh, of course it's a Solitude. It's a beautiful Solitude. Anyway, Solitude. You did. I know. The pre-checks have failed. So yes, he did say, "Hey, I did get that pre-check," and he messaged me ahead of time saying, "Is this okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I guess I'll
Will's a good mate, and I love him, but God, I hate that.
I was like, he showed me like Demonic Tutor for one of his cards and like the Mystical Archives Demonic Tutor, and I was like, you may not even remember that card. You may not even know that card, but like, yeah, it is affecting us right now. But I do have the list.
So here we've got the Slimefoot and Squee making the Saproling. Now this is an all-star card where myself as a Jund truther, one of the reasons that I'm drawn to Jund is because I feel like it's a great gel for Slimefoot and Squee. And Jordan, playing Atraxa Walks, or Green Poles as he often calls it, plays this 5-color strategy where right now in this deck, black is only for a few cards. He's playing that Kaya's Guile. He's playing that Slimefoot and Squee. But here we have another black card coming out as we natural order the Saproling away to get Atraxa.
Yeah,
Now,
Atraxa will be the star of the show, but let's not forget the Saproling. The Saproling was exiled, that was killed because of the natural order, but beautiful token that Jordan can enjoy for but a few seconds while this Atraxa comes on the battlefield. So shame the Solitude has already been used. Shame the Atraxa is out, but I guess we'll see what's going to happen. This is a big one.
so we know that the flex slot... okay, so here we've got a removal spell for the Atraxa, but we know that... okay, good. So we know that the flex slot in Walks often belongs to cards like Fortheolingus or like even like dinkier things like Deathrite Shaman, but Jordan has been using the natural order as his sort of flex slot, and it gives some burst potential to Walks, especially with how Walks has kind of changed with the addition that now some lists can play cards like Fast Bond. Yeah. So it kind of has this burst potential as well as being this combo mid-range deck with beefy cards and a powerful finish. Now it's a pretty subpar looking Atraxa from Jordan, with him only getting the Flooded Strand and the Nissa.
We saw a few good cards in there. Nissa's going to be... I mean, Nissa Fetchland is kind of fine anyway, because Nissa Fetchland will get you a random elemental from your deck. But the way that Jordan's done it, it's either Omnath, or it's Fury, or it's Solitude, and that's kind of all you need, really.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really excited to see how this can take over the game. Jordan seems to be in a pretty powerful position after his last turn. And the Thomas is highlighting that Misstep protected Jordan from the Swords to Plowshares, which means that Jordan gets to kind of overpower this game, and I'd be shocked to see Will bringing it back. Yeah. Though Will does have the Jordan and Thomas Undercity, and here we go as the White Plume Adventure is going to make Throne of the Dead 3 to see if Will can scratch this back. And
I can some fun cards as Knockish Bowmaster, Brainstorm, and then Giver of Runes, Archon, Animate Dead, Sheoldred, and Badlands, and then we also got a couple of like funny, funky ones, and I'm gonna pick it up for us right now so we can see it. But
that's not an Ib half heart.
Yeah, that's right. I was like, no one will ever know what these cards are. You may as well have random art, but no, it's he got me good. He was like, "Is this art okay?" And I'm like, "Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely."
okay. So this card from the left apparently is broadside bombardiers with the 3 counters on it, and I think this is pretty impactful here.
Oh yeah.
Will be
Oh,
interesting to
huge.
see.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'm still trying to figure out what's going on, but we have some real powerful interactions from either side.
Yeah, that's huge. And like the menace and haste, this could be. I mean, it could be lethal. We know that we're just gonna sacrifice straight away.
Yep. So
Okay, so 7 damage straight away from the Solitude being discarded, and then made short work of that Atraxa.
yeah, I was feeling cocky on the Jordan side, feeling like that could be one of the greatest turns in the history of Magic. And it turns out that Will's was pretty great as well. Ib Half-Heart Goblin Tactician becoming the greatest broadside bombardiers of all time.
Yeah.
We've now also been given a list of Will's crazy proxies for future use. So that's going to help us in case we get put in the confusing proxy realm.
Yeah, and that's it. And I think Will might be pretty happy with this sort of change of events. Jordan's only got a couple of cards in hand. He's still got this Nissa that does represent another removal spell with a Nissa and a fetch land. But yeah, I guess it says bold not to equip the Jit to protect yourself from the combo. And yeah, that's a very interesting point. The Jit is on the battlefield. Could have been equipped, but I guess we're choosing not to in this instance.
Yeah, Jordan obviously can win out of nowhere. This is how Walks can interact with the game. And here we've got the, notably, we've got the Nissa, which could go and fetch some sort of powerful elemental with the addition of the Flooded Strand.
Yeah, I think we're about to find out. So yeah, I've played this before as well. Well, here's Omnath, so it's not going to be Omnath. Oh, Omnath's going to get a lot of triggers here. Here we go. This is exactly what Jordan wanted. He was very patient. He waited with that Omnath. Now he's about to get. He was going to get the benefit. Omnath gains 4 life. Nissa's going to make a mana. Crack the fetch. Now we got 2 extra landfall triggers. No, this is not Zendikar Rising block constructed with Squee and Nissa as well. But no, this is exactly Highlander. We're going to see Omnath gain 4 extra mana. Nissa's going to gain an extra 2 mana from these 2 land drops. And that's 6 damage together. We can basically hardcast whatever we draw here. So as long as Jordan finds the right spell, it could be a good swing in his favor.
Yeah, Jordan is praying for the almighty Eternal Witness to show up, or Timeless Witness, because that could once again swing the game back in his direction. This is such a back and forth little slugfest as we watch Jordan shuffle his deck, make all his mechanics, and see if the time is now for an almighty huge Nissa trigger.
Yeah, here it comes now. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure no other Furious Solitude only hits. Yeah, I believe so as well, Loke, that we only have 2 hits, but they're both removal spells. So,
And I think Solitude is pretty huge here. That's the one I'd be hoping for if I was... oh, no.
maybe this could be a sideboard consideration, is that he knew he was going to be versing like pre-sideboarding, I guess,
exactly.
against the meta.
I was on call with Jordan last night. He was talking to me about his list, and when he really wanted the endurance, knowing that there were 2 lands players, and he wanted something that could mess with their graveyard and stop those strip mine loops. And maybe he's regretting it here.
Yeah, I think he's paying for it now. He was versed against lands in round 1, so maybe he did get to see that value. But yeah, kind of unfortunate in this aspect. I don't think he's going to get much value from the endurance in this matchup, but I'm sure he'll find a way. I'm sure he'll find something. Here we see off the Seek the Beast. The Beast has been sought, and we see a Prismatic Ending and a Green Sun Zenith. So still pretty mid. Still able to cast them for their X costs, so we can do something. But I think Jordan's going to be trying to figure out what we can do, because we only have a certain amount of mana left over from that Omnath. We're not going to use it on the endurance. I mean, what are we green sunning for, you think?
Yeah, well, I'm not sure the amount of mana in his pool, but I can't really think of anything that can dig him out here. Like, I'm trying to think what sort of green sort of mid-range beater that he hasn't played already
Yeah, Slimefoot and Squee gone, Nissa gone,
Omnath
gone. Yeah, we're seeing them all in front of us. Atraxa, you can't even do that for 8 mana because we don't have enough. Here's the beautiful Cast from Exile Zone card. I appreciate him taking that out, even though it might only be for the rest of the turn. But we do appreciate that. Yeah, still a bit of mana in pool, so there are some options available to Jordan.
Okay, 4 drops in Highlander. It is a pretty illustrious area, especially now with all the initiative people that rule the 4-drop roost.
Yeah.
But what is the 4-drop of choice? So
I'm not sure. We have to. I mean, I think the line is Green Sun Zenith, but I think it's pretty tempting. He might be considering. We don't know what mana he has left in his pool, but he very well might be considering trying to get rid of the Broadside Bombardiers with the Prismatic Ending if he has enough mana. And Witness Get Back Path sounds pretty reasonable as well. Trifly good pickup. We'll see, but he's definitely thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, I would play that line. I think obviously he wants the Witness later for possible combo lines, but not losing the game is the best combination of all. Not having to sign that message slip.
Yeah, that is one of the best things you can do. We can bring up the green polls list in front of us at the moment. We'll try and get a way to link them into chat as well so we can see them. But in regards, we do see the Eternal Witness. I did know that it took a little brief hiatus to the 76th card. But he does have access to Undermountain Adventurer. He has access to Timeless Witness. And then if he wants to go deeper, he can go Wall of Blossoms, Questing Druid, Noble Hierarch, Nissa.
Yeah, so sorry, I'm just trying to get a glance of if the gameplay has moved on. And it looks like we're playing the Questing Druid, and then we're prismatic ending the White Plume Adventurer.
Sure.
So,
yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
it's
because
pretty fine. You just want to gum up the board, maybe.
Yeah,
you can't use that Green Sun Zenith anymore, but it seems like it doesn't matter.
and the Broadside Bombardier is wearing that Hexproof from the Throne of the Dead 3. Incredibly notable here, as this card still has purchase to take over the game.
Oh, that's right. It had hexproof for that whole turn. So we are getting value out of our sapling here, and maybe we can see a reanimated Atraxa. I believe that's available to him if he does sacrifice that sapling. This could be the thing. We've seen this with Slimefoot and Squeal. It's kind of unassuming, but we're in the right decks and the right players. It's like it's really taken those decks by storm because yeah, you do get to have that opportunity to, I think it's pay 3 mana and sacrifice a sapling to reanimate a creature, and that's huge. You know, Atraxa's sitting in the graveyard ready to be used again.
Yeah, it's interesting, this matchup. I feel like, as Chifley identified in the chat, these initiative decks often have like a sub-par matchup into walks, but I feel like Will is showing the power of the power that initiative has, and that you can kind of take a losing position and just go, oh, bam, I play this card, I cycle through the initiative, I move on, I keep going. And that's like how I felt in matches against initiative decks in the past, where they just keep chaining through. And Will is now starting at the beginning. Will he have enough time to get to the throne again, or will he be able to claim this game in short order?
Yeah, it's something that you see with when you're playing two, like, I really understand the Seasoned Dungeoneer, I really understand the White Plume Adventurer in, like, non-initiative decks, but when you verse those initiative decks, it's like, they might do the Throne of the Dead 3 times, you know, you might be one of the 3 of the Throne of the Dead 3 because they're just cycling through, bang, 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 you know, you're like getting it back and then you're doing it again. Like, there's lots of opportunities to cycle through your deck to the point where maybe it's not even scary anymore because all the good cards are out of the deck, you know. But we'll see what Will does. He did get that first trigger going back into the secret lair. I think it's called the first room, where you get to get a basic, and he's used that basic to cycle with the fables. So we are firing on basically every cylinder that we can. We'll have to see what comes out of this broadside. It's always available to him as a 5 mana attacking, hasting, menacing attacker. We'll see what he comes up with.
So as we're watching this game development, there's obviously a lot of choices and game actions that these players can make. It kind of showcases modern Magic design in a lot of ways, where there's all these things happening. Everyone's going to like start developing cards, developing advantage, and each turn is just so many swings and roundabouts. Now, this Skyclave Apparition has been a big player in this game so far, even though it's never touched the battlefield.
Yeah.
Jordan's been playing around it for the longest time. And the Skyclave Apparition, I think Will's having a think about what it's going to hit. I think it hits 4 or less, so I would be looking at the big Omnath. Or, obviously, this could be a point where maybe the Nis is even more impactful.
Well, you know those Nisses are going to be hits now because we had the whiff at the start of the game. So he does have to get another fetch land for that to happen, but it's not impossible at all.
Yeah. Highlander decks play a lot of fetch lands.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I assume that Jordan is probably close to playing all 10.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see there. Now we have the Skyclave Apparition claiming the name of Omnath, which makes sense. Omnath is a huge beater, and now Will has the opportunity to kind of swing in, throw things at things, or he might play more defensively, trying to continue to eke value out of the Undercity. But we do know that Jordan has the ability to win like that with his Time Walk.
Yeah.
So Will is kind of pressured around both defending the Undercity, but also trying to close out this game.
Yeah. It's it still feels like anyone's game, and it is nice to get rid of that Omnath because like gaining 4 life a turn sucks, you know. It's like so annoying and hard to get through, especially with he's got this goblin token and the Skyclave, which is not really going to attack profitably into the Omnath. So it is nice to be able to get in there and look.
Yeah, so we've got the removal spell in the March, and now we're swinging in with the team. And Chifley, maybe he should be on the commentary team for next time because he's unleashed the absolute banger. Yeah. Tuck that Jitte under the Fable, we won't be needing it, which is true.
It's just a good thing to keep away from your deck. You don't... Oh, wait, hold on.
Oh!
I think we might have to... We'll just keep our voices down a little bit because Will has noticed the Jit. And we are on the other side of a table, so he shouldn't be able to hear us. But
yeah, well, hopefully the power of a closed door. But I was maybe getting too excited, which is
it is a funny point though. The Jit is like something that you just forget about, you know.
Okay, here we have Iganjo taking the name of Nissa, and we're swinging in for what looks like 5 unblocked. And
oh my god, that's huge! It's close. It's
Can-
lethal, right? Are we? I mean,
So 5 unblocked. He was on 10. Jordan's gone down to 5. It's Jordan's turn, and we're scooping it up.
yeah, because he can swing the Skyclave Apparition to get that extra points of damage from the broadside bombardiers. So I think Jordan saw the writing on the walls. Maybe Will was halfway through saying what was happening, but yeah, he's taking it out.
He already threw the broadside bombardiers to clear something out.
Oh, I see.
But-
I see.
We're definitely in a position where Jordan still had live draws, so it really shows these decks are both really powerful. So Will's Mardu DnT list, let's have a look on our end at the sideboards to see those cards that both Will and Jordan could have against each other. Now, Angus, could you read out the cards that are in in Will's sideboard?
Yeah, absolutely. So Will's playing Containment Priest, Duress, Lingering Souls, Palace Jailer, Path to Exile, what I believe to be Ephemerate, Path to Exile, Red Elemental Blast, Rest in Peace, Sanctifier, and Vec, Serenity, Shelter's Edict, Snuff Out, Surge of Salvation, Tomic, and Torpor Orb. You can see like Tomic and Torpor Orb, like we can see cards in here that are exact references to the fact that we're playing a pretty closed meta top 8 at the moment, so maybe you're adding extra cards, and Tomic is kind of only good against lands, you know, but it is really good.
But Torpor Orb here being an
huge.
all-star, both against Will's deck and against Jordan's deck. Because obviously Torpor Orb shutting down the initiative is huge, but also Torpor Orb is a really notable card because it stops the Spellseeker lines and a lot of the combo lines through Eternal Witness and Spellseeker.
Yeah, big time. So what do you think he might bring in then if he has these cards available to him?
I think Torpor Orb is definitely an all-star here, and I'd be really wanting to bring that in. Also, having additional graveyard hate in terms of the Rest in Peace is really huge.
Yep.
I feel like those are really great cards. I feel like I'd be wanting cards that continue to help me grind. I think Lingering Souls is probably a card that, though not super duper impactful, does work in those sort of grindy matchups and is good at taking and chaining back the initiative.
Yeah, absolutely. We can move on to Jordan's deck as well. Jordan's deck, Ashiok,
Dream Render?
Dream Render, yeah, Ashiok Dream Render, thank you. And then we have this red Elemental Blast here, Brotherhood's End, Collector Oof, Cosmic Rebirth, kind of cute one, dress down, I think Energy Flux as well. Yep, Force of Negation, Force of Vigor, High Noon, which is a recent addition as well. Hydroblast, Opposition Agent, Knight of Autumn, Seeds of Innocence, and Settle the Wreckage.
Now, one thing that's important to mention is you did say Red Elemental Blast, but Jordan is only packing the 2 blue blasts today. Jordan has been a long time hater of Red Blast, and every time I try and register them in a deck, he will come to my house personally, knock on the door, and try and remove the red blasts from my collection. So, Jordan definitely is a huge fan of the blue blasts, which make a lot of sense. The meta is kind of defined by red, and red is the best color in Highlander, I believe, right now.
Absolutely.
And
it's funny, 5 years ago, you would never imagine that, you know. There was a time where there was no red cards on the points list. It was like Wheel of Fortune was on there and then got removed, and then now it's like red is the talk of the town. It's the cock of the walk. It's like pretty powerful, and I can see why you'd be packing 2 blue blasts.
But I think things have been flowing like recently. Like there was that time when red was the time red's been the best for a little while. Before that, it was black in kind of this reanimate era. Then there was a period like last Nats when white was the best. When people were playing pointless White Plume, pointless Comet, pointless Seasoned Dungeoneer, and so things ebb and flow with the way that points change and the way that printings affect the meta. And I think it'll be interesting to see here how these sideboard cards from Jordan's Green Polls list affect the format this time. Now, Jordan has some interesting cards in the board, such as things like the Oppo Agent, also things like Cosmic Rebirth, which you don't think is normally a sideboard card, but Jordan tells me that the Cosmic Rebirth is like for these matchups where he thinks his opponent will have lots of removal spells, and he kind of wants to eke value back from them. So definitely an interesting card to think about.
Yeah, interesting. And we can see, and we heard from Willow before, she said, any changes you made to your deck? And she was like, yeah, I added Kataki, and it was really good. And it's like, I see Seeds of Innocence here, I see Collector Roof, and you can kind of see why maybe it was actually better for Chris Melly to try a different strategy, because like the Artifacts decks are really easy to hate on.
So let's have a look here. We're moving into looking at the opening hands, and I definitely think it'll be interesting to see here Jordan on the play. Jordan's been a player who's been rampaging through the local Canberra scene for a little while, making grabbing top 8s like they're candy, and now is his time to really show it against Will, who's been a bit of his nemesis. So it's once again a bit of the rematch, and we will see if Will can continue to have this winning streak in big games. So we're looking at the opening hands here. They're shuffling through, very hard to see, but I think it'll be interesting to see here what Will has. So I'm having a cheeky gaze, and the game has begun. Polluted Delta is the opener from Jordan. Nothing to start with.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning the sort of prize structure as well. It was only $20 entry, which obviously affects your. Okay, cool. Yeah, we're going to game 3 on another match as well. So it's definitely some heaters happening here. But yeah, it was only $20 entry, so it was, most of the money goes back into prize pool. But we have for the top 8, $40. This doesn't include your pizza fee, but $40 for your it does include your pizza fee. 5th to 8th gets 40. 5th, 3rd and 4th get 70 each. 2nd gets 100, and then 1st gets 120. So pretty decent haul for what is essentially a children's card game that we all enjoy together. So I think getting a little bit of extra pocket money, the 5th to 8th players, although they'll walk away today with no first placing under their belt, they will walk away with double the entry, and I think you're getting a lot of value out of that, especially if you win towards the end.
Yeah, exactly. And also, this sort of event has been really catalyzing for the Canberra Highlander community. We've seen a massive increase in players in our weeklies because people have been showing up to play their league matches before or after or during, and it's really increased now. Like last week in our weeklies, we had somewhere in the level of 30 players, and it shows that the Canberra community is going from strength to strength. And with players regularly making top eights at like large national events such as Nationals and Worlds, where we had 3 Canberra players at the top 8 of Nationals and 1 Canberra player at the top 8 of Worlds, it really shows that Canberra is a bustling Highlander capital of Australia.
Truly a force to be reckoned with in every sense of the word. Be careful. How many of y'all coming down to the RC Time Vault next week? Unfortunately, I will not be there. I have sustained too much dad guilt from putting my delightful young children in babysitting mode while I go and gallivant around the town. But Max, will we see you down at the RC next week?
Sadly, I'll be coming to the RC, but I fly in on the Friday night after the Highlander event because I have to have a day job. But I will be hustling in Standard and playing some terrible Standard cards where I'd much rather be playing my beloved Jund. But that means that Chifley's got an easier run to claim that time.
Absolutely. Chifley's wiping the sweat off his brow, you know. Thank goodness Max DK is not coming and he'll be here for Standard. We're looking at Elise Spellbinder here, Timeless Witness, Green Sun Zenith, either Get Lost or probably Path to Exile, I think, from what we saw in Game 1. Then Neoform.
That is the Path to Exile, yes.
Yeah, very nice. So pretty okay hand to start us off with. The Timeless Witness obviously giving you a little bit of extra value.
Okay, so here we have Jordan with what seems like a pretty stacked hand for creating a bit of a combo finish. So here he's trying to rebuy that removal spell in the swords that took the giver out earlier in the game. And now Jordan seems like he's stacked for some like both mid-rangey and combo lines.
Yeah, that's very nice, getting 2 pieces of removal back. And then you still have the Eternalize. What I really like about the Timeless Witness, new edition from Modern Horizons 2, I believe, but being able to Eternalize means, yes, you get another bite of that apple and you can do another little bit of Eternal Witnessing after that as well. So the Neoform can take out this Timeless Witness, get something 5 actually, right? Because, yeah, exactly, because it's 1 higher. So we could be seeing a Fury, we could be seeing a Solitude just out of that. And then you can get it back again later, you know? So it's like I'm pretty high on this card. I like it a lot.
Yeah, the value train keeps on chugging, and that's the great thing about this Atraxa Walks deck. There's so much value and synergy that is innate in it, but also you're just like a really sick combo deck on top of it. But now we say bye-bye to that Timeless Witness.
And bye-bye to the Eternalize as well, because it was March of Otherworldly Light, so never mind, I take it all back.
Yep, Angus's waxing lyrical is now ruined.
Exactly.
But here we go, the very expensive Green Sun Zenith with its 2 mana increased. So this is a Green Sun Zenith for 2. What are we getting? Here we're getting my Wall of Blossoms that I lent to Jordan.
Beautiful. In a proxy event, be the one that borrows Wall of Blossoms. And a beautiful Wall of Blossoms it is. Looking like a very nice old school foil Wall of Blossoms as well.
Yeah, pride of my collection, clearly my Wall of Blossoms. But here we go. So this is a new addition to Jordan's deck. He was talking about how he wanted more green cards that kind of gummed up the board, but also maximized his natural order capabilities. And he talked about how this card is, in his mind, a free natural order because your opponent will never remove the card. So you've always got a natural order ability. And Jordan will here have this battery of natural order threatening to possibly become an Atraxa at a later date.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always have the Neoform in his back pocket in case he wants to get something, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you're right that he'd probably just be holding on to it for that free natural order. And I like that a lot. It's just like so unassuming, but it is representing an Atraxa at any point. So we see on Will's side, he's going to try and accumulate some value of his own with this Palantir of Orthonac. A favorite of the Highlander community. Just bird encounters, scry, reveal cards, take damage. It's a good psychological warfare card, I think, as well, because sometimes you just decide to mill and then get dinked for 13, or you decide to let them draw and they draw the thing that they want. Have you played with this card much, Max? Do you like
I
it?
love this card. I was playing this in when I made the Nats top 8. I played Palantir of Orthanc in my Jund main deck, and it was a real all-star for me. Kind of this card that allowed you to grind out in the Jund mirror against Grixis. I was triggering Palantirs in my finals match. Like, I really love this card, and I definitely think against Walks in the games where they're not kind of quick comboing you, it's a great card to kind of outvalue the value deck. And here we also have Adeline, which is another all-star champion. And in this sort of board state, it's really excellent. Now here, we have a bit of a mistake here with the top card being...
Shuffle.
Yeah. So, Jordan has... so Will has accidentally revealed 2 cards.
We've done the scry as well, so... All right. I guess they're trying to figure out...
Angus, do you want to go out as rules manager and I'll have a chat? So obviously this is one of the issues with not having an official judge here at this sort of casual comp rel event, but they'll be out there having a discussion, kind of picking about what's going to happen. Looking at the board state here, obviously Will has a pretty powerful sort of board state, but Jordan has lots of kind of defensive tools against him in the path and the swords. So here I have joining me another player in the league, Connor John, who was playing lands during the league while these players are having the discussion. Connor, how did you find your league experience?
It was pretty great. I think I really enjoyed it. It was quite funny to see how much of the metagame the lands decks were taking up. I think it was something like 5 or 6 decks in the end, which just astounded me, considering I had registered it before I even heard about the majority. I think we gained one and lost one some along the way, but there was a pretty large variance in the list as well. I was just enjoying watching the Palantir gameplay because I think it's such a difficult card that's really seeing a spike in play among the really mid-rangey decks, because it's quite unintuitive in the sense that the Scry 2 is not increasing, but the mill is perpetually increasing. I've had a couple times where my opponent has either scryed the wrong amount or milled the wrong amount, and it's just been a complete rules nightmare.
But like also from a mechanical perspective, I find it a really interesting card because you slam the Palantir, it's this card advantage engine, but because the first couple of times you're often free to let your opponent mill, you take this life. So your opponent, you take a big chunk of life from like the first and second and sometimes third flick. And that means that you're sitting on a low life total while your opponent's now accruing card advantage with this grindy tool. So it's a card that kind of changes the board state and the mechanics of the game in an interesting way, where these grindy tools don't often have the power to set a life total so low. Now, Connor, in your journey through the tournament, did you play against any of our top 8 players?
Yeah, absolutely. I played against Jordan. I had the absolute misfortune of being on the sharp end of a Kaya's Guile at least twice, and it was so bad. I think he snagged some life from the loams on the way out as well. It was just, the card gives me absolute horrors. I lie awake at night thinking about it.
I think Jordan needs a new tattoo of Kaya's Guile.
He really does. It's one of those pet cards.
So Connor, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Angus has
I'll let you get
returned
back to
with an
Angus.
update back from the field. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. And thank you, Connor, for jumping in. It's very nice to get... I think that's like one of my favorite parts about commentary is that because it's accessible, you know, it's like anyone can jump in and have a go, and Connor's a natural for sure. But yes, we did resolve it. As you saw on the screen, it was the Takanuma gets shuffled back into the library. I think Jordan was remarking that perhaps it's like, well, it's a bad card, so it's kind of good that it's getting shuffled away, but we didn't know that it was a good card before we flipped it or a bad card, so it's kind of just like, yeah, you get that free information. We're just going to keep play going. Awarded Will a GRV for fun. Not sure exactly what's going to happen if he gets too many this tournament, but I said, Will, you get a GRV, and then you move on.
I think if he has 3 GRVs, he has to have a Jaeger bomb or something.
I think that's a good idea. I think that's important.
Will is the king of the Jaeger bomb, as we found out earlier tonight.
It's very funny. Yeah, definitely a confluence of different different types of people, different parts of their lives, I suppose. But my parents bloody God rest their souls, brought out some wine for us to have and enjoy together. And Will's like, "Oh, I don't really like wine, but I like a Jaeger bomb." And I'm like, "Yeah, baby, hell yeah, hell yeah."
We have an important update. Willow has beaten Sophie 2-1.
Willow beat Sophie 2-1. Wow, congratulations to Willow. That's huge. So Willow on red-white is going to verse whoever wins here in the finals. Thank you, Chris, from the...
Comet and Fourth Eolingus.
That sounds... Yeah, Comment, Fourth Aerolingus taking out that win. That's makes a lot of sense.
So here we go. So Will here is really threatening Jordan, but Jordan is kind of using his value pieces to kind of set up what eventually could be a quick sort of combo win. So he's got the Teferi, he's had the Spellseeker, he has like these interaction cards off on the side. I think even though the board state looks kind of threatening, here we go, we've got the Time Walk. Is that a Time Walk? Or what's... Sorry, I can see
There's
it.
a knight, there's a, I think it's Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares.
What's he
Time Walk
resolving
is in the
with three
bin.
cards here?
I think he's just having a little look. Maybe he's doing an expressive iteration. Did he put the
Yeah.
wrong card down? Yeah, I guess we'll find out exactly what Jordan's
Yeah, it looks
thinking.
so another bit of confusion here, but we'll obviously keep that.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what is happening. Maybe
Yeah.
we could get one of our
Yeah.
intrepid field reporters to have a look. But thank you to the wonderful Chris.
Since only one blue was tapped.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it must be a brainstorm then, I suppose, if we're... maybe it was off screen. Yeah, maybe... yeah, all good. I think we're sorted.
Yeah, Chris is getting a quick update for us, and then we'll find out. But I think it probably was a cantrip we didn't see.
Brainstorm.
Yeah, it was a ponder.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. So,
Thank you. So the update there from legendary field reporter Chris is that it was a ponder, and it all makes sense. The world is a better place.
the world is
We
a
can
better
keep going.
place. Yeah, yeah,
The hold up
absolutely.
was had Jordan played a land already.
Ah,
As a
I
extra
see.
turn of the wall.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay. So we're into that extra turn. The walk has happened. The ponder has resolved.
I
We
think
now
he'd
know
probably
what's going
he'd probably be feeling pretty good about that then if he's got Spellseeker obviously got the Time Walk, but Time Walk in the graveyard, Ponder on the battlefield. I got a bunch of lands. Hopefully he saw something influential that he can take with him, but yeah, he hasn't comboed off yet. There's no Timeless Witness. But maybe he's just waiting until next turn. I guess Will's going to show us.
Notably from earlier, the Timeless Witness is in exile. So from the March of Other Working Light.
That's true.
And here we have a piece of hand attack here from Willow in the not Willow, so from Will. Too many Will names in this. And in response, we have the Ephemerate onto
very
the,
nice.
The
On the Spellseeker, yep.
So we're setting up for a combo kill here.
Yeah, so we have so that means that Ephemerate for next turn, we'll be able to get another spell in addition to that. But I think if you have the Time Walk and you've used the Neo form, so I've used the Neo form, we've got the Ephemerate out and we've got the Time Walk.
So what I think here is the line from Jordan is so he's ephemerated for mental misstep.
That's really fun. That's
Well,
really
I
fun
don't
because you
know
can do it at instant speed. So the Thoughtseize was still in the stack. Instead of letting the Thoughtseize resolve, I'll ephemerate the Spellseeker, get mental misstep, and then now you can't see nothing.
Yeah, very, very cool, clever sort of line of play. And even though we continue to get like an onslaught of white creatures here, it'll be interesting to see if Jordan can kind of recover with these combos. So we have some of our top 8 players spilling into the commentary room. We have the recently successful Willow who took down Sophie. So it's very exciting. Lots of good energy here with all the players watching this huge semi-finals match.
Yeah, it's all come to a head after 10 weeks. Players have been very invested in finding exactly what the right deck to play is to try and beat the field. And it looks like Red-White Initiative is still forced to be reckoned with. Comet, good card.
Yeah, died to
Fourth
Comet.
Aerolingus, good card.
Comet and Fourth Aerolingus in the same turn.
How can you win? How can
Oh,
you win?
it was-
How many squirrels, Willow?
Strong.
Just the two squirrels.
Just the two. Oh, just two. That's that's a small amount. I like I like giving Comet a point. I think it makes a lot of sense, even though it's like horrendously random about when it happens and how it happens. we seem to be getting a little bit of tilt from the camera, so I'll give it a little fix again.
Okay, and we are back on the battlefield here, looking at what Will is going to draw to kind of get out of the problems through his Palantir. But it seems like I'm not exactly certain what the combo line coming up soon for Jordan is, but I just feel it coming. Because here we have the Ephemerate flickering the Spellseeker, and looks like Fail to Find as the option there chosen by Jordan. He's really adjusting his lands here, having a think. Here's the draw. Oh, sorry. Right. Yeah, sorry. Players forgetting to close the door behind me in the commentary booth. Yep. Correct stating from Chifley that combo is often very hard without the witness, but
But we have two witnesses, right? We have the Eternal Witness and we have Timeless Witness. So he should have an option otherwise.
yeah, that's the only rebuy effect in his deck. The two witnesses.
Okay, but we've seen both of them so far?
I don't think we've seen the Eternal.
Okay. So maybe we still have the possibility to be online.
Chifley, Jordan is is playing Eternal Witness today. But we did have a big discussion about this in preparation for this event, and he decided that he thought it was right into this room, though a lot of the lists are kind of dancing around if that card is an appropriate fit or not.
Yeah, right. So I guess we'll see the Undermountain Adventurer coming in. This is the only notable piece of initiative buying that we can see in Jordan's list. An Undermountain Adventurer is like pretty fine, but mostly a blocker. Like I very rarely see, I mean, maybe it's because it doesn't tap and it has vigilance that I very rarely see it attacking, but as a 3/4, just comes in and just stops anyone else from getting the initiative. So I don't really see, I see it perfect for Jordan's deck because he is wanting to use those sort of stopgap defensive spells whenever he can.
And Jordan also likes this card as it kind of is good in land-like games in bridging him to 6 mana really effectively, when often, obviously this isn't one of those games, but 6 mana is the super important breakpoint in this deck because it enables you to infinite combo through the Spellseeker. Yeah. So really interesting here, he's playing this defensive game, he knows he's on a low life total, and it looks like with the current board state, the removal spells, if he chooses to use them now, he can then hold off this assault and kind of blunt it and kind of stop lowering his life total, not lose the initiative to the side of Will's Mardu Death and Taxes list.
Really dangerous to put that initiative onto the battlefield, because if Will manages to take it back, and Will does have a flyer, so it's not difficult for Will to get the initiative back, but Jordan being on 5 life and initiative being on the battlefield, I'm sweating. You know, I'm saying that it could be all over, and it could be at the hands of my own Undercity Adventurer.
Yeah, but sometimes you have to play the threat. Like, even though it puts in this mini game that you could lose and that could lose you the game, sometimes you have to just do something, even if that something puts you in the Tom Cruise danger zone.
Absolutely. So pondering over our attacks now, there's going to be a lot of attacking and blocking maths, which you don't see heaps often, I suppose, in sort of blue formats. A lot of the action is happening on the stack, but this is really interesting in regards to what Will can do next. He's still got that Palantir that he can sort of lean on for the future turns, but I think these next three or four turns are going to be really, really difficult in regards to what should I attack with? What should I hold off with? Should I go all in, or should I just try and hold back? So I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking here. I think this is another interesting game in terms of the Palantir, because I feel like the Palantir is going to accrue Will some value, but it's in the position where it hasn't really been a huge factor of the game. Okay, he's gone to move to the attack step, but we know that Jordan is holding those 2 removal spells. So it'll be interesting. So I think he wants to get Adeline out of here, and Adeline's been hit with a Path to Exile.
Yeah, so she has the attack trigger that you make another soldier when it attacks, and it has buffness equal to the amount of creatures that it has. So obviously, Jordan, if you have that opportunity, you want to wait until that beginning of combat step to take it out.
Here we go. And now this is that second removal spell on the Swords to Plowshares being aimed directly at Palo Vitor Dalma de Rosa, the spellbinder. And so I think Jordan is in a decent position here because he knows that unless Will has some sort of removal spell that it doesn't look like he's willing to use, that looks like he may have a prismatic ending in hand, Will can't get through with these 2/1/1s. So he's going to his end step and he's going to put Palantir into the third mode. So this is now, well, Jordan's at the point where he can't really dance around with his life total. So Will is going to continually get a draw effect, a personal Howling Mine, if you will, from this little artifact.
It's pretty funny how it lines up because late game, like, you can't let him, at one point you just can't let him mill. But the funny thing is that the psychology behind that is it always ends up the same way anyway, because in the late game, you want to be thumbing to the top those 4 drops, those 5 drops and stuff, because it is the late game. You want to be putting the lands to the bottom. So I don't think it's ever going to work for you after the 3rd counter or the 4th counter to ever let them mill. But sometimes you're just so desperate that you're like, well, God, I may as well like give it a go. But it can get you at any point, that Palantir, and it can really hurt. So I think there's no choice at the moment. But even earlier on, I think he's letting him do a lot of draws.
Yeah, I think this game is defined by Will being the attacking player and Jordan being the defending player. So obviously, letting these randomly, possibly huge life total hits come your way is not the way to go. I'd like to know what this Brainstorm card is that we keep seeing, because obviously Will is not playing Brainstorm in his deck. And
It's Misstep.
the Brainstorm is missing. Okay, so
Oh, you're looking at Brainstorm? You must think a misstep.
I was very confused. But I think I'm going to chastise Will after
Let's
this game.
chastise him later. I think
Yeah.
that's a really good idea. It was partially my fault. He did say, hey, can I do this? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. But no, the answer is no. Putting a Brainstorm art on your misstep. It's funny because what's happened in the last few years is that there's been so many different printings of cards, and it's made commentators' place a nightmare, you know, because we're like, what is this random secret lair that I've never seen before? Mystical Archives, what's that? You know, and suddenly we're like, that's a Brainstorm. I know that card, but no, sorry, it's a misstep.
And in Canberra, amongst my friends, I'm known as a bit of a secret lair addict. And I feel like I could identify any secret lair from 1,000 miles, but not this fake Brainstorm misstep. And here we go, the 1-point Orcish Bowmaster's coming out from Will. So Jordan has something in response for that.
Jordan's going to do something. I don't know exactly how many cards he's got left in hand. One of them is an Eldamri's Call. This is going to be okay. He's got 5 mana open. This could be a Solitude. It'll be interesting, but the trigger is probably going to go on the stack and stay on the stack. Trigger from the Orcish Bowmasters just says when it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to any target, and you amass 1 Orcs.
Now, obviously, that Spellseeker is a value piece that Jordan, I think, wants to protect, but it looks like the 1 damage... I'm still trying to figure out where it's going.
Surely it must go to the Spellseeker. It's, I don't know, you're on 5 life, maybe it's worth going face, I guess, but here comes a Solitude.
Solitude coming out. This is a super powerful piece in this defensive game that can quickly start using its lifelink capabilities to move Jordan's life total towards the stratosphere. And here we go. As we predicted, the Spellseeker is going to go bye-bye. The Solitude is in the hand.
Yeah, so that was lucky. That was a nice... That was interesting. I don't know why Jordan maybe he just wanted to have a think about what he could get, but this is the end of his turn, so it's kind of like showing his hand a bit early with that instant speed spell that he could have held on to. But yeah, Solitude's there. It's going to sort of threaten something, but I mean, Will's got 4 attackers. Like, I don't know if you like flunge your Orcish Bowmasters into the Solitude or the Under a Mountain Adventurer, but at one point, he's just going to have to start attacking.
As the Emperor of Secret Lairs, I can identify that this is Thalia Heretic Cathar coming out on Will's side. Definitely a powerful card, and I can see it coming into play before combat to try and stop the Solitude being able to block, and that's why the Solitude's coming preemptively, taking out that Orcish Bowmasters and moving Will's life total up. Here's another Thalia Tribal, and surely they give each other a buff or something. Or
They gotta, but Unfortunately, Thalia Guardian of Thraben and Thalia Heretic Athar are, you know what, they do combo with each other because Thalia Heretic Athar makes your opponent's lands enter tapped. Little Thalia makes them cost a little bit more. So that's an extra taxing.
Combo.
Oh, we're hidden, we're flying. And you can see here sort of where the differences between Death and Taxes and the sort of more stompy, or even what we saw from Lou with the red-black, those sort of fast stompy decks, is that Thalia is not really a friend of those decks. You know, all the fast mana that they play. Thalia is just good 2 mana. Hey, I'm going to make everything else cost a little bit more. And that's kind of what's defining these decks outside of their initiative counterparts.
So this token here that Jordan has got,
That's Jordan's classic treasure token.
yeah, that's Jordan's treasure token coming from the elusive right side of the initiative dungeon.
Right side's for big brains. The left side is for smooth brains. I just want to make the game end as quickly as possible. But if you're a real thinker, the right side is where to go.
I'm an addict of the left side. Let me tell you, I've got that smooth brain coming on lock. I would love to hear the stats of how often people are perusing that right side. And here we go, straight from the Warhammer Cinematic Universe, Morlock here taking out Little Thalia.
Yeah.
It's interesting here. Obviously, Jordan has access to a lot of mana. I assume he's slinging a lot of spells. This is another cantrip that we haven't got exact views of. Chiefly commenting that one of the secrets is that they mostly result in the same outcome, the left and the right.
Yeah. The illusion of choice. Would you like to enter the left room or the right room? Sorry, we're going to enter the Throne of the Dead 3, no matter what.
Yeah, that's the room that matters the most, I guess. Usually, I think 5 damage is a room that's very impactful,
Huge.
but
Ends the game so quickly.
hey, every room is good except for that goat room.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone use that to good effect.
Someone made me chump attack my Omnath into their pile of stuff with the goading thing, and I was not happy. I was not happy at all.
Yeah, I would be crying.
All right, so we have made the treasure token. We have played this Morlock again, being one of those sort of fan favorites from a Universes Beyond set. It's so funny when The Walking Dead came out, people were up in arms, and I think I was one of them, rightly so, just being like, you know, you can't make mechanically unique cards on other IPs or whatever, because we should have the right not to play with Rick. And it calmed down so much since then. I think we just got over it. But a lot of people like the Fallout cards. A lot of people like the Warhammer cards. You know, so I don't mind it at all now. I've come full circle.
Yeah, I think we're all used to the new direction Magic is going on, and even though there are some cards that I look at and I feel like they make me shudder in terms of like this is what Magic has become. But here we go. Jordan has assembled the combo with Eternal Witness and pulled it back. I think that's what just happened while we were getting too excited talking about Pickle Rick.
I wonder if it's 1-1 and if they know it's 1-1? It's one.
So we're going into
Game 3, right? Game 3. Okay.
We're going into game 3. Oh, I don't have the mic. We're going into game 3. It's been a very exciting set. Maybe we'll take this opportunity of shuffling between rounds to go to Willow, who has taken their semi-finals match and is going to the finals. Willow, how was your semi-finals match?
Yeah, it was really tight. Game 1 was a bit of a non-game, which is unfortunate, but that's Magic the Gathering. And yeah, just really pulled it out with the individual power of, Comet and Fourth Aelingus and Broadside Bombardiers.
Yeah.
Just those little 1-point cards just all pushing through to seal it out.
And it's an interesting strategy that you've taken because besides the Ragavan, I heard you have seven pointed cards. Yeah. So in an 8-point list, playing 7 points, 7 pointed cards, that's like you're gonna see them a lot. And I think you're getting that value from it. It's very nice. So congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing the finals between whoever wins this one and you.
Now, Willow, I have one question for you before you go to your preparation zone for the final. We're obviously seeing our two players here going into their final game. Who are you most scared of going into the final match?
Honestly, I think my matchup is a little bit worse versus Jordan, but I feel like my deck is so similar to Will's, I'd kind of rather just play Jordan because the mirror match is always so flippy and kind of horrible.
there's like a play draw dependency that happens there as well, and like yeah, it's gonna be a good one. We'll let Willow go and put the game face on, get prepared for that final match. It's gonna be a cracker regardless, and it's yeah, we're looking forward to it. So we'll give I might go and find a piece of tape. Sophie and Max, maybe you can take the reins and I can see if I can figure this out. Hop in, Sophie. Welcome.
I'm still recovering from dying to a solitude being flung at me with a broadside bombardiers after it exiled one of my creatures. So that was pretty strong.
Yeah, what an absolute nightmare, Sophie. But you made a great run through the league, and you also made a great run through Worlds a couple of weeks ago. You're really having a tear of it. How has your deck been performing recently?
Yeah, it's been really good. I've been having a really great time, and yeah, I guess I'm creating a bit of a semifinals curse for myself right now because I just lost in a semifinal again. But yeah, no, it's really fun. Great deck. I mean, obviously, like a long-standing archetype in 7-Point Highlander. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun.
Well, I think having a semi-finals curse is much better than the round 4 curse I seem to have. So I think you should be pretty happy with that one. And I think it's really interesting going into this match. So we have Will be on the play for this one, and it's really been a back and forth set of games. It's been a real banger of a set. So it's great that you get to kind of sit down with me and get to see the opening cards of this one as Angus shakes the camera with all their might.
Yeah, I'm kind of sad that I didn't get to play against Jordan because I put a Sulfuric Vortex in my sideboard just for Jordan. And the
Really?
pop would have been really nice against Jordan too, but alas.
Sulfuric Vortex is a really interesting piece of tech out of Prowess. So why do you like this card against decks like Walks?
I mean, I think the life game prevention can't be understated. A lot of the time, I played against Jordan a lot locally, and the way he just like wins, he starts turning it around with life gain. You have them always very, very low, like in bolt range kind of situation, and then they just start gaining life, and it's all downhill from there.
Yeah, exactly. So it looks like Jordan
Was
is
there a mulligan?
Yeah, is taking a mulligan, trying to figure out what's happening here. This is a really big game, a lot of marbles on the line. So we'll see which gamer can take it. So Jordan's taken his mulligan, he's moved his initiative token far from reach, and Will gets to take us away.
And Will did not mulligan, right?
Yes, no mulligan it looks like from Will. So should be a real good battle, hopefully. No one really mulliganed down to Oblivion. So the Swamp to start, and we get to see what Jordan is playing with off the Thoughtseize. So it's Questing Druid, 2 lands, Eladamri's Call, Brainstorm, and Path to Exile. So Jordan has a pretty nice defensive hand that can also set up value by using things like the Eladamri's Call, Brainstorming in combination with a fetch, and the Seek the Beast ability. So it'll be interesting to see what Will decides to take here. Maybe the removal spell. What would you take?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends on what Will has in hand, whether he cares about the path. But otherwise, it's probably like either the Seek the Beast or the Brainstorm. Probably, I mean, Brainstorm looking really good here, but Seek the Beast also really great, Questing Druid. So I guess like the question is, does Will care about the path? Will might have like a fast hand, maybe can.
So I
slam some
see
sort of
Will's
creature.
thumbing through cards such as Swords of Plowshares,
Yeah.
Urza's Saga, and he takes the one card, Sophie, that you did not name in that Eladamri's Call.
Oh.
Which
Oh, yeah, of course.
Obviously is a powerful card here because it kind of can unlock these combo lines in Jordan's far future and can kind of set Jordan up. So
Yeah.
I don't doubt that this could be a really impactful card. I feel like obviously the texture of Will's hand really defines what can be good for Jordan.
Yeah,
'Cause these
definitely.
decks
I
can-
mean, of course. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead, Sophia. I was just saying that these these decks can be so modal and change from being aggressive and defensive depending on the hand. This is one of the things I love about Australian Highlander is like you see one half of your deck, so you play a certain way. Then your opponent sees a half of their deck, and it can be in different games every time. You know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of Singleton, right? You get that diversity. It's way less streamlined we used to play a lot of modern, and there was so much less randomness to the games. But this is really nice. It's that's why we kind of ultimately also made the switch. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, you're right. He took the combo piece, of course. That totally makes sense. Thinking about it as you say that, yeah.
So here we have little Thalia making her appearance in Will's Thalia theme deck. You are obviously the birds connoisseur. Will's the Thalia connoisseur. Everyone's got their own little tribe they support. And we've got a brainstorm.
Yeah, I mean, but how can he? How do you pay the tax?
He's brainstorming with Thalia on the stack.
Yeah.
So obviously, Brainstorm is one of the most powerful 0-point cards in Highlander, I believe. It's kind of a bit of an understated magic card, but it's been like a terror in Legacy for a long time. It's a terror in Highlander, but in this powerful kind of secret way. Obviously, you're a mage that's brainstormed a few times in your time, Sophie. What's the secret to a good brainstorm?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like, that's why I was like, when I saw that opening hand, I was like, oh, brainstorm in that hand is really neat. I mean, you do want to ideally play it when you have a fetch already in hand. There's been a few. The worst thing with brainstorm is you don't want to cast it and then brainstorm lock yourself, which basically means you just put 2 cards back on top, but you have no way of getting rid of them. And then you just basically have predetermined your next 2 turns, and often those 2 cards are also bad draws because you don't want them. Brainstorm was also probably worth noting gotten better with the land cyclers, which is like, just another way to get rid of the whatever you put with Brainstorm on top. And also the Surveil lands have made Brainstorm also better. So Brainstorm was always really great, and it's gotten even greater.
Exactly. Brainstorm is one of the most powerful cards in the game. And here we have a bit of a thinking moment as it approaches to Will's turn. And here we have another all-star card in Urza's Saga, which has been really great in like all these mid-range decks, in bots, in lands. Really, like, I believe it to be one of the most powerful 1-point cards, and I could see a future where possibly it gets to 2 because it's so impactful, but not in the immediate future.
Yeah, I mean, as a control player or former control player myself, I dread seeing an Urza Saga. I think it's really, really good because often you'll just like have spot removal, and Urza Saga just like is so much payoff in one card, and often they'll just like kill you with these giant constructs on the battlefield. So, and spot removal sometimes often doesn't cut it. So I really like this setup here. Thalia is gone now, so at least that's one thing that's in Jordan's favor. But I think this saga it's going to be a bit of a problem. Obviously, depends on how many artifacts Will has. Well, there we go. And then this seems like really well positioned against like a blue deck where you're just casting so many spells.
And I feel like Saga is often this natural 3-for-1 where you're often getting like 2 constructs and the best 1-mana artifact out of your deck. And 3-for-1s in Magic are a pretty great thing. I've heard Ancestral Recall is a good card, and obviously it's a slow, plodding 3-for-1, but hey, a slow Ancestral Recall is still good, and I think it's great to have one of the best cards in your deck be out of the land slot. Now, Jordan cast Seek the Beast, and he found Endurance and Path, it looks like. So it'll be interesting to see how those cards impact the board state.
Well, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not fantastic either, I would say. I mean, I think Will doesn't really care right now about his graveyard. And Path is like pathing that Sentinel, it feels bad. So, or pathing a construct also feels kind of bad. So, yeah, it's not the best Seek the Beast, I would say.
But hey, sometimes just thinning the deck of your bad cards, like moving towards kind of the impactful lands, like Jordan is always looking to be able to counter 6, which as a teacher, I know teaching people how to counter 6 very important, and Jordan's showing that 6 is a really important number, as in this deck, that is the kill condition. Yeah, Angus is here.
Yeah, sorry, taking your spot.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you so much for covering some great commentary from nearly world champion within the realms of the champion, semi-final world champion 2 times in a row. Damn, that's a streak, we call that in the business. But yeah, some astute observations, absolutely. And yeah, I think none of these things are very good for Path. I think he's probably pretty unhappy. I'm surprised that he actually even kept in the endurance game 2 in game 3. I guess he liked it
Need
enough.
against formal wear, I guess.
Yeah. Sure, it
What
has a little bit
else?
of value against the Flyers. Like you might be able to punk them out, get the Elite Spellbinder or the Archon for a quick get. But besides that, I don't know. I'd hate to flip into it. I mean, we saw that in the previous match where he like flipped. He rolled over that Nissa and flipped over an Endurance, and it was like kind of bad. You know, I wish I had a removal at this point.
Yeah, and then there's also the consideration with Seek the Beast, and that's like, I guess, like as someone who plays that as well, you really want to play low. You really want to flip low CMC cards, so you can play them all. You know, but if you flip high CMC cards, you might just like not be able to play them all. So, you know, endurance not great. I personally don't like flipping free drops off. You know, Reckless Impulse and Seek the Beast. So that's another consideration, I guess, as well.
Yeah, I think he's sort of feeling the sting now. I guess we'll decide whether or not we want to cast any of these, but Will's going to be able to play pretty nicely. Interesting. So we are going to pay. This is... I still don't feel great about this. This is like pay 2 mana for a Path. My opponent gets an extra basic, and also they had to pay that tax. Otherwise, the extra card would have been drawn. So it's kind of like not a very good Path, but maybe he just felt so inclined that he had to do something with his spare cards before he sent them away.
And Jordan was talking earlier when we were sitting around the table playing some practice games with local Canberra goat Josh Lowe about how one of the things that makes Josh a great player is that Josh doesn't feel like he has to do things. He doesn't cast the cards just because he needs to. And obviously this situation is a bit different with the questing drill giving you the limited timing on the card. But it does show that sometimes an important skill is not choosing when to do something, it's choosing when not to do something. I feel like one of my flaws as a player is I just feel like if I've got a card, I may as well cast it, you know?
Yeah.
And like when watching Jordan earlier, when he had so much restraint with his Omnath, and he had the Omnath for so many turns, but he wasn't going to play it until he could get a lot of value out of it. That is such a skill for me, players who show those remarkable levels of restraint.
Well, that's why those mid-range decks like Jund's sort of suit that strategy a lot, because the other side of that coin is mana efficiency, because you also want to make sure that you're playing your spells and using your mana as efficiently as possible. And like part of mid-range is just, I'm going to cast this card because it's always good. You know, I don't feel too bad about casting it now, casting it later. So it is a little bit of a balancing act between what you should be doing, which is like casting spells and being mana efficient, but also what you should not be doing, you know, when you should be holding on to those things and not doing the thing that perhaps you were going to try to do.
Is that a secret layer, Soul Ring?
No, so the Curse of Will's proxy strikes again. Well, this is one of Will's magnificent pieces of art, and Will is a phenomenal artist, and this is his own Soul Ring that he's mocked up. But I hate that the Soul Ring looks like a One Ring, and it kind of annoys me. But here we go, Palace Jailer. This card makes me quake in my boots. I hate this card, not because I don't think it's good, but because I think it's amazing. And when I played in the Nat Finals against Chifley, this was the card that won Chifley the final game, and the game was all about Palace Jailer. And so in looking in this position, it looks borderline impossible for Jordan later in the game to be able to take the Monarch back. The texture of the game has to change so much. Starting at this point where Jordan has where Will has an infinite source of
How good. Okay, I think we're just on charge. Yeah, okay. Cool, we can make that work. Give me 2 seconds. Should be back.
Yeah.
There we go.
We're back.
He draws a red card. He's so good.
All right. So we've got updates live from the field. I don't know if you guys are hearing us. Chat, let us know if we're back. But so Jordan has Ephemerate Fury in hand. No red card. So if Jordan has a red card, he can really attempt to bring this game back from the brink. So really huge kind of draw steps coming up. So we're looking here at the board set. Obviously, Will's got insurmountable numbers here. Jordan kind of can't combo. He can't count to 6. He's got those 5 lands, but he does have Fury in hand. So if Fury looks to take out the Palace Jailer, he's kind of grinding the game back.
Yeah, but let's not forget the trap is incoming, right?
Yes. So next turn, 5 damage point at Jordan's head. That looks like game over, and looks like it will be a white-based mirror in the finals. Yeah. Let's see if Will can do the simple task of remembering his triggers. Yep. So here we have the Solitude doing its Ephemerate impression yet again, and taking out this Fury. Yeah, and that's game. That is game over. A great set by these two great players. Will continuing his streak against Jordan, beating him in the finals of the last event and taking him out in the semis of this one. Will has having a crusher's streak, and now it's going to be difficult to commentate the finals as we have Will against Willow. Going to be really difficult for those tongue twisters. All right.
So we'll take a little break. I'll try and fix some stuff up while we're faffing around, then we'll come back. But wish us luck.
No cat cam.
No cat cam. No cat cam.